QMB Speed Up, Digibank, Let's Go, and Telesol 4G just a touch in this edition as Ghana's COVID-19 case count hits 1,154. Advisor to President on COVID-19 clarifies earlier projection of 15,000 deaths from coronavirus in Ghana, with 3 million people expected to be infected.
Through the enhanced contact tracing, in the last 3 weeks, we have about 638 positives, bringing the number to 1,154 cases as at today.
We'll also hear from officials of Noguchi Memorial Institute as they respond to controversy over the number of tests Ghana has carried out so far.
Samples. You can understand that it is not impossible to have tested 68,000 samples, as His Excellency the President reported.
President Akufo-Addo's promise of free water yet to reach many in some parts of Accra.
It is costing us a lot. The one they brought here, it is 30 Ghana. Now he said it is 35 cedis per one. And one bucket is 1 cedi. We buy it here 1 cedi because we don't have pipe here.
It's on 1 cedi. I'm going to 1 cedi and omodeje. And see, I see a moon free. And so yeah, you won't put them hard here. You be poor.
We'll tell you the story of residents of Katamanto who still depend on commercial tricycle operators for portable water at a fee in sports.
Former CEO of Accra Hearts of Oak, Neil Armstrong Motagwe, charges stakeholders to focus on building a stronger football economy capable of supporting government in future pandemics.
And later, governing NPP fights off claim the withdrawal of the 3-week lockdown is to pave way for the conduct of the party's parliamentary primaries.
Because they don't read, whoever was putting together a response, they don't know that there still exists executive instrument 64. I can't understand their logic.
That's all coming up here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apawu. Thanks for your company. Let's get into the details now. And Ghana's case count of confirmed COVID-19 cases now stands at 1,154. This was reviewed by head of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaji, earlier today at a briefing in Accra. This is up from 1,042 recorded earlier this week. He also revealed that 120 people have recovered so far.
Under the general surveillance, as at the 20th of April, we have 401 cases that are reported positive. We still have the 115 travelers who were quarantined and tested at 115. Through the enhanced contact tracing, in the last 3 weeks, we have about 638 positives, bringing the number to 1,154 cases as at today. Out of this, we have had about 120 of them having recovered. Of these recoveries, 82 have come from the Ghana East. UGMC has reported 17 recoveries. Rage has 3 people have recovered. The 37 military hospital has recorded 4 recoveries. Temajana Hospital 1. Ashanti region has 6. Wa has the index case has 1, and Tamale has 6 cases reported. Of those who are well and responding to treatment, including those who are asymptomatic, that comes to about 1,021, accounting for about 88.5% of our cases are well, no symptoms, and those who have mild symptoms are responding to treatment.
That's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaji. Now, Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiasare, has also been speaking at the press briefing. You'll recall on PM Express last night, he told my colleague Evans Mensah that the government is projecting a total of 15,000 deaths in Ghana from the coronavirus.
We expect that about 10% of the population may be infected.
Is that our projection?
Yes, we have that projection. 10% may become positive, but out of the 10%, 80% of them may not show any signs and symptoms at all. 5% of them will be very ill. The 5% who get critical, about 10% of them will die. We have a situation where this hypothesis may not be the case in Ghana.
We are preparing
for this. And because we are preparing for this, that's the reason why we have opened up, get more testing areas.
Well, at the news conference, he clarified the earlier projection. Komla Dom was there, and he joins me in studio with more. So, Komla, Dr. Anthony Nsiasare says he based his projections of Ghana's COVID-19 situation on a hypothesis by the World Health Organization. What more has he been saying?
Well, he mentioned that projection, which is the hypothesis from the World Health Organization, African countries which do not do much about the situation, the coronavirus pandemic, could hit these figures that he spoke about, that 10% of their population will be affected, 5% of those who will be infected by the disease will fall critically ill, and out of the 5% who will be critically ill, 10% of that number will die. And so he says those are based on the hypothesis or the figures or projections by the WHO, but that is not the case with Ghana, because as we know, Ghana is not recording as many cases as the European countries like Italy, Spain, Germany, etc. in terms of the coronavirus cases and even the deaths that are being recorded. So the reiteration of the point was that as we speak, we have only 9 people who have died from the virus so far. Now we have our case count hitting 1,154, and those are not enough basis to project or predict that 3 million people will be infected by the disease.
I'm itching to hear from him, but let's talk about the virologist who attended the press conference from the Noguchi Memorial Institute, Professor William Ampawu specifically. He reviewed that the testing laboratories for COVID-19 have carried out close to 30,000 samples since the president's last address. Now, we know there's been some controversy over the number of tests Ghana has carried out as compared to numbers of persons tested for COVID-19. What's he been saying?
Well, Emefa, he mentions, for example, that we know, or Noguchi has told us in the period that they can test up to 1,200 samples a day. But he clarified that, well, because of some equipment, modern equipment that they have received, they are able to pool a lot of the samples. So even in the 1,200 test samples that they can process, they are pooled. So out of the 1,200, they can get multiples of 10 tests or 10 samples from that. So that is why we're seeing the numbers hitting 68,000. In fact, he mentions that as of yesterday, Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research had tested 76 or had processed 76,921 samples, out of which the results of 70,921 have been made available. Also, he mentions that the Kumasi Center for Collaborative Research, for example, as of yesterday, had processed 25,219 samples, out of which 15,380 of those tested have been released.
With our partners, we have the latest kind of equipment to be able to do this direct detection. So, as we started, we realized that as the numbers grew, we were actually pooling 5 samples, and then we changed to a pooling of 10 samples. You can understand that it is not impossible to have tested 68,000 samples, as His Excellency the President reported when he addressed all of us. Actually, since he addressed us, we have actually tested close to 30,000 samples. Again, using the same method, because each time we do 10,000 samples, it's actually, a multiplication of a simple initial number. So please do not be surprised if in the next couple of days you hear that we have tested 100,000 samples in Ghana. It's just a matter of multiplication and addition.
That's Professor William Ampawu. He's the lead virologist with the Noguchi Memorial Institute. Now, Komla, the issue about flattening Ghana's curve with COVID-19 also came up. Give us details.
Yes, so we know that in other countries, their positivity rates, skyrocketing. Their hospital admissions are hitting the roofs, as well as the deaths. Countries are hitting millions, 1,000, etc. of deaths. But in Ghana, our situation is that we have only 9 people who have died from the virus. So the explanation we have been giving is that in terms of flattening of the curve, there are parameters. So we have flattening of the curve in terms of the positivity rates. We also have the flattening of the curve in terms of hospital admissions. And we also have the flattening of the curve in terms of deaths. In Ghana, our situation is that we do not have many hospital admissions. Quite a number of those who have been infected are moderately ill, and so they are being home managed. Only a few of them are in the hospital. In fact, out of those who are critically ill, which are 4, only 1 is on a ventilator. And so that is the explanation for the flattening of the curve in terms of admission rates in hospital, also in terms of the death rates that they are recording from the coronavirus. Patrick Abuaji, the Ghana Health Service Director General, has been speaking to that.
When one says the curve is flattening, there are several aspects that goes with it. How many deaths are happening? We've been at 8 now to 9 over a long time. So means that there's no any increasing in the number of deaths. The number of admissions are not increasing, and so that can be also the percentage positives are not increasing over the year. So when you look at that, you can see where you are not, you can see a cascade of going up, both admissions, deaths, everything. So we are not getting that. So that's what is it.
Now, there have been several reports of health workers crying out for PPEs, including the Ankafo Leprosy General Hospital, Cape Coast Metro Hospital, Trifo Praso, and some others in the Volta region. Dr. Patrick Apawu has been responding to it. He says that the service will probe why workers in some of these health facilities still do not have PPEs.
As was mentioned, a significant amount has been pushed in. So you mentioned specific hospitals that do not have. We will follow up and see why is it that they do not have. Because we have actually increased the number of PPEs that have been distributed through the regions.
That's the Director General of the Ghana Health Service. And my colleague Komla Adom will quickly wrap up with that. Did he say exactly when this probe will begin?
He mentioned that right after here they were going to send their officers, to conduct those checks, because according to him, many or several hordes of PPEs have been distributed to the facility level. Okay. So there's going to be the probe to understand why the workers in these facilities do not have these PPEs. Okay, Komladom,
thank you so much for that detailed report. He attended that press conference earlier today. Now, Hospital Administrator for Mamobi General Hospital, Helen Tete, is debunking claims staff are buying face masks to work in the fight against COVID-19. Madam Tete says their stores always make available PPEs, including face masks, to staff on a regular basis. Now, she says the provision list can be verified by their stores. However, she admits they have limited resources and would need more from government to combat the disease. Her response comes after some media outlets reported that their staff were purchasing their own face masks and other PPEs.
I'll say that is not true. We are not selling face masks to our staff. We had in stock quantity of face masks, and we wrote a memo. Management met, and we issued a memo to the effect that all unit heads must requisition face masks from the general store, and the records are there. We don't give it to them on daily basis. We issued some specific quantities to the various units, and it's expected that as and when it's exhausted, then they can request for more. But I must say that we are working with limited resources. We have some PPEs from the government, but I think it's not enough. So we'll appeal that they make available to us more PPEs.
That's Helen Tete. She's the administrator for the Mamobi General Hospital. Meanwhile, frontline workers at 6 health facilities in Yanglong district of the Volta region say they are living in fear as they complain of lack of personal protective equipment. Already, 10 cases have been recorded in the Volta region, further heightening fears of a spread. Fred Kwame has more in this report.
In the wake of the outbreak of the coronavirus, the Anyanui Health Center is yet to receive supply of personal protective equipment from government. Health workers here fear they may easily contract the virus if an infected patient should visit the facility.
It's a little difficult, but we are managing. Last week, we had some donations. We had some N95 nose mask and some boxes of gloves. So those ones we are using as we speak. But we still need more. These things will not last for 3 weeks. By the next 2-3 weeks, we will run out of them.
Joy News gathers about 5 other health facilities are faced with the lack of enough PPEs. Nonetheless, a philanthropist, Wanda Victor Kuto, presented hand hygiene items worth 25,000 Ghana cedis to 6 health facilities in the Anglo district.
They do not have enough PPEs, so I'm here as a Ghanaian to support.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Anyanui.
You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's head to the Jubilee House now, where President Akufo-Addo is continuing his engagement with identifiable groups on the best strategy to adopt to ease the restrictions on social gatherings and reopen the country totally. Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Brobe joins us on the line. So which groups are meeting the president today, Elton?
So the leadership of the Muslim faith are currently in a lockdown meeting with the president. We've just finished the first part, and the narrative was no different from yesterday. President Akufo-Addo made mention of the fact that government is looking at the best way out to ease the restriction on social gathering, churches, schools, and the likes, as well as open our borders for life to return to normal. But the chief imam, the spokesperson for the chief imam, had a request for the president. Remember that the Ramadan is starting this week. They are hoping to start it either tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. And because of the ban on social gathering, the chief imam said that they will respect it. However, they want government to help them with technology such that after they are done with the fasting, the chief imam can broadcast from his home to the Muslim faiths. And this is a request President Akufo-Addo says that the president will consider it to ensure that people don't go out after the fasting to breach the protocol on social gathering. Emefa.
Well, but ahead of these discussions, though, I'm sure you've been engaging, the thoughts of some of these members. Are they hopeful that what they are asking for will be given them?
Well, the president said that it is a good request, one that government will consider, because if they are provided with the technology, it will help them stay at home and listen to the sermon of the chief imam. Well, for the Muslim faith, according to the spokesperson of the chief imam, beyond preaching after the fasting, they also want to use the occasion to drum home the message for them to respect the protocols announced by government. And it's something that they hope to get. What they are doing now is to get into the meat of the issue, and this is a closed door session. The other concerns that they have are the ones they want to do, as far as going back to school and then getting people to congregate in the mosque. This is something that they are putting forth before the president, but because of this protocol on social gathering, it doesn't look like they may get their way out. So the technology is what government may have to give them to get them to stay abreast with their faith.
Okay, that's presidential correspondent Elton Brobe monitoring that meeting. Will bring you more subsequently. Now, the Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Obi Amwa, is advocating a legislative instrument to enforce safety protocols needed to curb the spread of the COVID-19. His call comes as Joy News checks reveal many markets are not adhering to social distancing protocols and wearing of face masks. Correspondent Anas Sabit has been to the Techiman Central Market and reports the largest food crops market in the sub-region there will be closed down on Wednesday as social distancing protocols are being ignored by the traders.
As part of measures put in place by city authorities to stop the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, city authorities here in Techiman will be closing down the Techiman Central Market effective Wednesday, April 22. Now, to the many traders who are trading within this setting, what does this closure mean to the next batch after some days? We beg on authorities to allow those of us who are into perishable goods to be considered. It's a sad development for us here. You know, tomatoes, garden eggs, pepper and okra all go waste after some days. This market has over the years been the only source of life for our family. So when the market is closed, it will be a problem for us.
Let's head to the Techiman Central Market where Anas Sabit joins us. Anas, has the market been closed?
Yes, the market has been closed. So as I speak to you, the market is virtually empty. The compliance has been very encouraging. All shops, including those who are even trading in items that are not market products like the perishable goods, are all asked to close their shops down. So that has been adhered to now. But the latest development is that those dealing in perishable goods like tomato, onion, etc., have decided to move to a different location, which is far away from the market. There's another park around where they have decided to go and then embark on their trading activities. The city authorities have moved to that end to ensure that they adhere to the social distancing protocols. They demarcated the area so that they wouldn't be crowding as we observed in the market. So currently that is what is happening. But the market itself has been closed entirely.
Okay. That's my colleague Anas Sabet. Off to the Nkwanta South Market in the Oti region. The Public Health Emergency Committee has embarked on a market segregation to prevent communal infection of the virus. Osman Musa is the municipal coordinator.
Just last week we sat and then we decided that we are going to lock down our market because the social distancing rule was not being observed in the market. There was congestion, and in fact we saw that a disaster was waiting for us. And so we decided that instead of locking the market down completely and asking the traders not to come to the market. We rather decided to create satellite markets, about 3 satellite markets.
Now, speaking on the AM show on the Joy News channel, which is now free to air, President of the Accra Market Association, Mercy Nijan, advised both traders and their customers to abide by the safety protocols.
At least they should think of their health and the health of their family members and other customers. We also plead with the customers, please don't gather at one place. Your health is at risk. So they should also try as much as possible to participate. Everybody is just busy doing business. But the problem is, because as I'm saying, you can't start somebody, say, number 1, sit down, number 2, go. So I think with the security forces, we need the security people, the assembly. They have their task forces. The market too, we have task forces. If they join hands with us, we'll be able to send them.
Well, the Deputy Local Government Minister, Obi Amwa, believes an airline is the most effective option now to ensure the markets do not become breeding grounds for the COVID-19.
Since the lifting of the lockdown, the situation has exacerbated in the sense that you're not talking only about those who operate in the market, you're talking about those who also move into the market. Because with the stay-at-home lockdown situation, fewer people were going to the market. Now with the lifting, you have more people going there. So we still have to carry on with what we are doing, except that we should probably think of even alternative arrangements and then probably recommend at the appropriate time maybe stringent laws. As we speak, it's more protocols. As things get tighter, we may also have to tighten the rules. Even though at the assembly level, you say that bylaws can be imposed on some of these things. But probably if a bigger force like EI comes in, then they know that this is what the law says, this is how we should implement it. But as of now, it's more of engagement as to the best arrangement to let things work as far as markets are concerned.
That's the Deputy Local Government Minister, Obi Amwa. This is the Midday News on Joy 99.7 FM. And as Ghana's COVID-19 case count hits 1,154, we heard from advisor to the President on COVID-19 clarifying earlier projection of 15,000 deaths from coronavirus in Ghana, with 3 million people expected to be infected. Also, fire service douses blaze at an office near the multimedia premises. Stay tuned for details. And also, President Akufo-Addo's promise of free water yet to reach many in some parts of Accra.
It is costing us a lot. The one they brought here, it is 30 Ghana. Now he said it is 35 cedis per one. And one bucket is 1 cedi. We buy it here 1 cedi because we don't have pipe here.
It's on 1 cedi. I'm on chase 1 cedi and no modeji. And see, I see a moon any free. And so yeah, you won't put them had here. You should be poor.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products, and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
With the all-new Supersport Relove, we reorganized all 12 channels to bring you your favorite moments from football, athletics, WWE, and more. Supersport 1 is now available on DSTV Compact, and Supersport 3, the Premier League channel, is on DSTV Family, while 7 is on Access. Get DSTV and relive the greatest stories in sport from Aline to Zidane and more with the new Supersport Relove.
Thanks for staying with us. So let's do sports now. Hansman Sarando.
And the former CEO of Accra Hearts of Oak, Neil Armstrong Motagwe, has charged stakeholders to focus on building a stronger football economy capable of supporting government in future pandemics. The sports marketing consultant argues that calls for government to support Ghana football are justified, but the focus beyond this must be on how football can be strengthened to enable it support government in future pandemics.
The government in itself in a very, very tight situation. So many things, so many areas of our country and economy depending on the government for support. COVID-19 is not something that happens every year or every 10 years or every 5 years. It's a rarity. And so we're in this situation, and desperate situations call for desperate measures. So there would be some justification asking for support, but beyond the immediate support, we will be looking at support that helps the football industry build a strong buffer, build a strong spine to weather these storms on their own, so that the scanty resources that are already tough for the government to apply and deploy across the various aspects of our nation can be applied to those other areas. I look forward to a day where something like this happens, God forbid, but if it does happen, football, because of its thriving economy, becomes one of those industries that actually supports government to support other sectors of the nation that is dying. Football can do it. We think hard enough and plan well enough and execute sincerely.
Neil Armstrong Motagwe is the former CEO of Accra Hearts of Oak. That's your sport.
Thank you very much, Hans. Let's head to Katamanso Promise in the Katamanso municipality, where residents say they still pay to access potable water in spite of the free announcement made by President Akufo-Addo. My colleague Emefa Apawu has been interacting with some of these residents.
Gideon, a primary school teacher, and his brother were forced to take advantage of the lockdown to supply water to those who need it in these communities. But this comes at a cost he needs to recover.
We are also working, we are using fuel and also our efforts too. So we see that 1 cedi will be enough for us.
Do you buy the water and how much do you get it?
Oh, we buy it. At first, when the government hasn't told us that the water is free, we were buying it as one as 50 pesos. So we will sell it as 1 cedi 20 pesos at first. But now they are giving it to us as 40 pesos, 1 gallon. So we sell it as 1 cedi.
It's on 1 cedi. I'm on so 1 cedi and no modeji. And see, I see a moon free. And so yeah, you won't put them had here. You will be poor. And I will so gallon back 1 cedi.
His first customer Antivic buys 10 gallons for 10 cedis. She's embittered about the amount of money she spends daily on water, particularly because of the president's announcement. Antivic says she will refill her tank in 3 days.
I'm Eunice Dogbe. It is costing us a lot. The one they brought here, it is 30 Ghana. Now he said it is 35 cedis per one. And 1 bucket is 1 cedi. We buy it here 1 cedi because we don't have pipe here. I took a number on UTV line, wanted to call, but I tried the number once, truly. It didn't work. So I was waiting. I wanted to go and call them that I also have a tank here. So when they bring it, the rest, I can give it to the rest, the people in the area. I've not gotten them yet.
Your friend me Presla, make us a free Katamanso, number 2.
My name is Priscilla. I've been living here for close to a year now. We've never had water in this area. We always buy water.
That's my colleague Emefa Apawu report from Katamanso Promise in the Katamanso municipality. Now, the quick response by the Ghana Fire Service prevented what could have been the destruction of property at one of the buildings near the offices of the Multimedia Group Limited today. My colleague Matilda Vomega is at the scene and joins me on the line. So where did the fire break out and what is the extent of destruction?
So Emefa, the fire started from a compound just adjacent the Multimedia. 5 rooms, we are told, have all been affected. Everything in the room is gone. Residents had to run for their life. And we are told that the fire started from one of the rooms on the premises. And it started from a woman's kitchen. She was cooking when she realized that there was leakage in the from the cylinder. She came out just when she stepped out of the kitchen. That was she had the explosion. So she had to call on residents to put out the fire before the fire service officials also came in to help. But we are told that 5 rooms on that compound, everything is just gone. A lot of the residents here are distraught, and we are just waiting for the fire service to complete its work for us to find out exactly what triggered this fire and exactly the extent of damage. Emefa.
That's my colleague Matilda Gavi reporting from the offices near the multimedia group on that fire outbreak. We'll bring you more subsequently on that. We must take note that it is not a multimedia building. It's a building adjacent our offices here at Kokumlimli. And guess who is in the studio? E with Bex is here with what's in entertainment. You look good too.
What's in entertainment today is that gospel musician Omane Champong. He says that the COVID-19 pandemic, the gospel music industry is actually the most affected. Let's listen to him.
We are in line with the churches. We are friends of the pastors. I'm talking about the gospel, not only the gospel music, but the gospel fraternity. Nowadays, no church anywhere, no crusade anywhere. It's like nothing is going on. We do our churches in our homes. So, even though it has affected all the music industry, but then the gospel musicians we are the most affected because everything is shut down.
And that's Nicholas Omane Champong.
I don't know the reason why he says that they are the most affected, but
we'll monitor.
Maybe
find out the midday news for us.
Please, for more news, log on to myjournalline.com, the entertainment part, and get all your entertainment news.
And that's it. I am Emefa Apawu. Thank you so much, you with Bex. Dr. Mensah has living words.